Dumbo 2, New York Adventure. Chapter 8, Hiding and Hunting. As the evening sun was looming over the factory, Dumbo, Penny, Godfrey, Dunt, Claude, Lolly, Timothy were inside the factory. "Oh man, it's dark inside here," Dunt stated. "That's good. That means the hunter can't find us in here," Timothy replied. Suddenly they began to hear footsteps outside the door. Their faces turned into horror. "Quickly everyone hide," Timothy shouted in panic. Dumbo, Penny, Godfrey, Dunt, Claude, Lolly went into hiding. "Dumbo, hide inside that bucket," Timothy instructed. Dumbo hopped inside the bucket that was filled with water. That's when the doors burst open. Timothy looked outside the bucket. It was Billy the Hunter. He entered the factory with his tranquilizer. "Well, well. Looks like we're going to play a game of hide and seek," Billy the Hunter stated while snickering. Timothy was watching the hunter while in fear. Billy was walking through the factory looking for the young animals, when all of a sudden a small sneeze sound came from a pile of boxes in the left corner. Billy looked towards the boxes and smiled with an evil grin. "Oh," Dunt whispered in fear. Billy started to walk towards the pile of boxes. Timothy looked on in horror. "Oh no, I have to do something." "Dumbo, stay here," Timothy replied in panic. Timothy hopped out of the bucket and ran to the right corner of the factory and behind a desk. Timothy then made a loud squeak sound. Billy the Hunter turned head around. "Ha, got you, little rat," Billy the Hunter replied sinisterly. He then ran towards the desk. Timothy quickly ran towards the pile of boxes and ran towards Dunt. "Thanks, Timothy," Dunt replied, whispered. Billy the Hunter then tossed the desk across the room. "I know you're around here somewhere, rat," Billy stated. Dumbo was in shock by the hunter's incredible strength and was in fear. Dumbo then hopped out of the bucket. Dumbo then sneaked past the hunter until Dumbo bumped into a box, causing it to fall over. Billy then began to turn around. Dumbo quickly hid behind a large crate. Billy then began to slowly walk towards the crate. Timothy watched in fear as the hunter is about to catch Dumbo. "Dunt, listen closely. You need to pay for me," Timothy whispered. "Why?" Dunt replied, whispered. "We need to distract the hunter." "Oh, okay," Dunt replied, whispered. As the hunter was just a few inches away from the crate, Dumbo began to shake in fear. When a loud hey sound came from the pile of boxes, Billy quickly turned around. "Gotcha," Billy shouted. Billy ran towards the pile of boxes. Timothy and Dunt then snuck through a small cubby vent. Billy then began to move the boxes out of the way. "I got you now, you little striped donkey," Billy shouted. Dumbo poked his head out and watched the hunter looking for Dunt. When Dumbo looked up and saw Dunk and Timothy on top of the factory, Timothy then began to wave at him. Dumbo waved his ears in response in happiness. Dumbo, you need to get the others up here. There's a vent that leads outside to the garbage bin, Timothy instructed. Dumbo nodded his head in response. Dumbo then quickly rounded up Godfrey and Penny and Claude and Lolly. Dumbo then led them upstairs slowly so the hunter wouldn't notice them. Suddenly Penny slipped on a step and lost her footing, and she fell off. That's when Penny was caught by Dumbo with his trunks. Billy suddenly turned around to see what he just heard. Dumbo quickly pulled Penny up. Penny was shaking. "Thank you, Dumbo," Penny replied, whispered. Billy started to hear footsteps on top of the factory. They all made it to the vent. "Now quick, jump into the vent. Large animals first, then small animals last," Timothy instructed, whispered. Dumbo jumped first. Hippo jumped second. Dunk jumped third. Penny jumped fourth. Claude and Lolly fifth. And finally Timothy jumped last. When all of a sudden Timothy was grabbed by the hunter. Dumbo, Godfrey, Dunk, Penny, Claude, Lolly slided down the vent. And they landed outside the garbage bin. "Well, that was kinda fun," Dunk replied, as they all hopped out of the garbage bin. "That was a close call," Godfrey replied. "You can say that again," Penny replied. "Yay, he almost got us," Claude and Lolly replied. "Dumbo, thank you for saving me," Penny replied. Dumbo looked at Penny smiling. That's when Dumbo saw the hunter walking out of the factory. They hid behind the garbage bin. The hunter jumped inside his van and began to drive off in the distance. That's when a small hat flew out. Dumbo looked at the hat, and he instantly recognized it was Timothy's. "Oh no. He caught Timothy," Godfrey replied. "Oh, poor Timothy," Dunk replied in sadness. Dumbo looked down and depressed. He realized that his closest friend was now gone.